Wendy Steen-Shaner here with Naughty Fairies TV. I want to thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us. I see Mark Holmes. Hi, Mark. How are you? Thank you for letting us know. There's Shawnee. Hi, Shawnee. I am so excited because I get to talk with one of my friends who is just amazing. She is fantastic. She is the princess of jeweling herself. It is Shannon. So I'm going to bring her on. Hi, Shannon.
Hi, everybody.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. You might be able to hear Pony in the background because she doesn't understand who I'm talking to. So she's going to make noise so that she can be part of this.
Of course. Of course. Shawnee says, Shannon is amazing. She is. Mark says, hey, princess. So I wanted to talk about jeweling because it's kind of one of those secret special things that happens that we don't get to hear on your side. And we see the magic that happens. Like this is one of the pieces that she has done. And you can see all these little spots are jewels on this cover. And I know it's in the plastic, so I'll take it out so you can see it a little easier. But it
is shiny.
I have had the honor of watching her do these jeweled pieces. And she can do these so quickly and so, it's like, it just blows my mind how fast you are at this.
Yeah, especially when we're in a public setting and I had to put crystals on top of the
we're at a restaurant and you had to censor. It was pretty awesome. Like we're having dinner and I think you did like 30 of them while we were eating dinner.
Yep.
And we were there an hour. I mean, it was just crazy to see how fast. Yes, I got to see her at Fan Fest too. And it is awesome to watch. So you give me a little background about what your professional background is. And then we'll lead into how you got into comics.
Yeah, sure. My dad is actually the one that started the dynasty. He was getting burnt out on college teaching courses, and they told him to go take a Mickey Mouse course to kind of relax the brain, and he took a stone cutting course. And then from there on out, he fell in love with rocks. So we then entered the world of lapidary. So even though he did a full 22 years in the military, the rocks moved with us every time we moved. So then once he retired, it was the jewelry business full time. So we would do traveling shows. All of us do an aspect of it. My mom, my dad, and I, we all do cutting. We all do tumbling. We do jewelry making and the whole 9 yards with that. So that's where my background is. I'm a rock cutter.
That is so awesome. So you work with precious stones too, or just?
All of them. Doesn't matter. Agates, jaspers, birthstones, things.
That is so cool. And you have a shop currently?
Yes, I do. I'm located at Biltmore Fashion Park in Phoenix, Arizona, which is off of 25th Street in Camelback. I'm in a fancy neighborhood.
And it's beautiful because I got to go like right after you had your grand opening. And it
is the front part is pretty. The warehouse back area looks like a bomb went off in it.
Well, I think all warehouses look that way. The back of the shop, that's what it is.
Exactly. Nobody cares.
So how then did you go from being a rock cutter and a jeweler to working in comics?
Well, that's because I volunteered for anime conventions and for Phoenix Comic Con at one point. And then I was like, well, this is just like a trade show. So why can't I bring my jewelry to Comic Con? And in 2012, they were doing the 4 corner island type dealios. And so we had one corner and Lady Death had the full front half. And it just so happened that Fran was there one day and she was like, here, let me show you what I'm doing. And so she had these crappy acrylic flat back crystals that she put on this gorgeous Lady Death cover. It really looked awful because the crystals were acrylic and they were bad and they took away from the beauty of this gorgeous cover. And I was like, that's ugly. And I walked away. I literally told Fran, that was ugly. And I walked away. And my mom slapped me in the back of my head and said, go apologize and tell her about Swarovski crystals. And I was like, yes, Mom. So I went over, I apologized, and I said, hey, this is a fantastic concept. Let me give you a wholesale place, because you have your retail license number, where you can purchase these beautiful Swarovski crystals and make your covers beautiful. So that was how the jeweled editions were born for Lady Death. But I wasn't the one who was jeweling them in the beginning. Somebody else was. And then in 2015, Fran had messaged me saying that their person who was jeweling ended up moving. And I said, I'll do it. It's not a big deal. And here I am 5 years later. Well, longer than that, but yeah.
Yeah. So you've been jeweling with Coffin for many years now.
Yeah, since 2015.
And now you've been able to reach out into the little indie world.
Yes.
You've been jeweling for me for, I want to say this is our second year where you've
I think it is our second year. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So you've jeweled for me for 2 years, and I absolutely love the pieces you've done. I mean, I showed you the Steph Wilson cover, and then this was Lorenzo's.
His Steph Wilsons are always the cutest little quirky covers. I love his.
They're awesome. So this was Lorenzo's, and this is one of the mock-up books. This was another Steph that you had done with the pea coat, which just turned out darling.
Love the pea coats. Those are my favorite types of clothing.
And, you know, the fact that it's on the metals, and you've jeweled regular covers, and you've jeweled hollow foils. This was Ruben.
Yes. Hollow foils proved to be a little difficult because I did not know this. It's always helpful when people tell me these things. But apparently, your hollow foil paper actually contains metal. That would have helped me in the long run for knowing why my crystals were popping off on some hollow foils.
Is that what it was?
So when Kara went off on a little tangent about the metal not coming out right on a printer that we were printing off at home, and she was like, it's because of the metal. And I'm like, what metal? What are you talking about? It's paper. And she goes, no, there's metal in the paper. And I'm like, now I know why. Okay.
And so you adjust what materials you use when you're adhering them, and then
you adjust the technique. The materials still stay the same, but you adjust the technique for it.
Very cool. So Mark had a question. He said, so how do you jewel a cover?
Carefully. I have a special setup. No, they're not special at all. If you've ever seen any of those diamond dot kick things that come with a wax pen, it's the wax pen that helps pick up the crystals. And then also I have a glue that I use that has a precision tip on it. So that way it doesn't go everywhere. However, one in every, 1,000 tubes, the tip accidentally comes out, and then you have a blue glue glob and you cry because it's gross. And if you're working with regular paper, that book officially became destroyed.
Yeah.
So usually the hollow foil covers, no big deal. It wipes right off.
What's really cool is when I watch you, I mean, you've got your jewels laid out in a little container. You take the tool, you tap the jewel,
right.
You already have tapped the glue onto the book, and you just go through.
Yes.
And you make it look so effortless and so easy that everybody thinks
they can do it.
I can do that.
Everybody thinks they can do it, but what they don't know is that I have 30 years of dexterity experience. Even though I have fat little hands, they're very dexterous hands. It's like I can, do the things with them and move them in certain areas. I can grab things with the different fingers to be able to rotate stuff that most people can't do. And I have very nimble fingers, and that is the key for a lot of it.
And it makes a difference.
Yes, it very really much does.
Because I mean, if you do any kind of crafts where like if I was asked to paint a miniature, there's no way I could paint a miniature.
No, God, no, I wouldn't even paint a miniature. I'd be like,
But it really is that dexterity that you develop, and it's muscle memory too. You've been doing this. You've been working setting gemstones. You've been working
and
with
that's
chips.
really what helps is being able to, because I'm used to having people watch me set $10,000 diamonds. It does not faze me unless it's an opal. I will send your butt out of my store if I have to set an opal, because you breathe wrong on an opal and they will break.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't even know that. So Shawnee says, "Oh no, infamous glue gobs."
It's true. It's true. I destroyed a really beautiful Monty Moore Lady Death cover that was done on Strathmore paper because the glue tip fell out and the glob fell down and it ate all the glue or the ink as it went with it. And it was like,
goodness, that's disheartening. So Mark asked, do you glue the paper or the jewel?
You glue the paper or the book itself. So Coffin's books have a plastic coating on them. So their books are fairly easy to jewel because of that plastic coating. You just dip it down and it leaves you a little bit longer of a time frame to be able to move. Because once that glue goes down, it's drying. So you got to move quickly. But if it's on like a paper book, like your regular covers, you got to move quickly. Metal covers, you got a little bit more time because it's keeping the glue cold. It's not hardening it. So you got to actually do a little bit more push effort on a metal to make sure that it sticks.
That's amazing. Let's see.
Yeah, temperature plays a lot into these things. A lot.
Yeah, see, we all know that that's not an adventure I want to go on because I said, I've watched you jewel, and I'm like, oh, I could do that. No, because I mean,
you could. It would just take you longer.
It would take me longer. Is my time worth that? No.
Not when you have
much rather.
Yeah,
and I would much rather pay you to do it so that I know it's being done correctly. I know I'm not going to have them falling off. I know I'm not going to have a big mess. I know that it's going to be beautiful because you are able to look at a piece, like this, for example, where you're looking at it and you're like, okay, I see all the jeweling opportunities.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people
I didn't even say anything.
Yeah. That particular one with her sakura blossoms all over her.
Yeah.
There's different color. There's different shadings of pinks and whites on that. I blended crystal colors.
Yeah, it's just amazing. And it's hard
to tell. A lot of people don't realize there's color layering in a lot of those books.
Yeah, and they're beautiful. So let's see. Not trying to steal you from Wendy, but how much for a cover and how long for each book? Well, her pricing, I don't think you're doing necessarily. Well, you are. You're customizing books for people if they ask. Yeah,
I can customize it, but you do just got to send it to me privately. There's no way I'm giving out prices on the internet free willing. Especially because I've got Sworn Fest coming up, and that's an entirely different price bracket.
Right. And it really depends on how many jewels.
Right.
Like you have one price if it's like, okay, you kind of group it like, okay, 25 jewels, it'll be this, or, 50 jewels, it'll be this. You kind of tier it up.
We kind of tier it. Now, if you want to do something, so I haven't finished this one yet, but this is the Catching Fire from Fire Bitch 2. It's one of my favorites. I love it.
It's gorgeous.
So much. Hi, guys. Come on in. Take a look around. I am in panel. They have fun. There's a dog. Her name's Pony. You can pat her. Shut up, Pony. But this one right here, I think when I get done jeweling it, it's going to have close to 1,000 crystals on it. So something like this is probably going to cost almost near $1,000 when I'm done with it.
It is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's insane. This amount of crystals right here that I have on it is already at 600 last time I counted.
Yeah. I can just imagine. I can't wait to see it when it's finished.
I can't wait to finish it. I keep looking at it and I'm like, not yet.
So Mark is asking, and I love that you're asking questions, Mark. That makes me so happy. So is this a two-handed operation, like glue in one hand, your setting tool in the other, or is it you go through, you glue, and then you go through and jewel?
I glue first because the tube that I'm using for the glue, it's gravity fed. So once you take off the nozzle, it's flowing. Then you got to cork it back up. Otherwise, it continues to keep flowing and make a mess. But it can be a two-handed operation.
That's so Trish says she wants a few of those jewels on a Chris Mad cover, just on the girl's butt for my personal collection. Yeah, just message Shannon.
Totally. Message me. You can send me, you can find me on Facebook, or you can send me an email at contact@hrhprincessjewel.com.
Perfect. And so that was Troy's question is, do we give you ideas or do you just kind of go with it? I think it depends. Like sometimes I'll say, I'm kind of thinking of it over here, but 9 times out of 10, I'm like, there's jeweling opportunities, do it. And I trust you to do your thing. You've been doing this for so long. And
I always ask, I'll be like, do you want me to custom create a color palette for you? Are there any specific colors that you would like? It was really amazing at the first Fiend Fest for the Lady Death one. Some people were very specific about where they wanted their crystals put, and some people weren't. Some people had better ideas than even I came up with, which was fantastic. But most of them were just kind of like, here's my book. I'll be back in a little bit. And I'm like, okay.
But it is so worth the money. It really is. And she will customize it for you.
And I have currently right now, I have 17 different crystals on hand for colors. I have got more being delivered every week type deal. It just depends on if they clear customs or not, because customs. Yay.
Right. But you know what? I have to say, because I know there was an issue where Swarovski just like discontinued the line of the flat back crystals. And so
Swarovski decided they didn't want nail technicians using their crystals anymore, which is very funny because they developed a very specific line of crystals for nail technicians and a special crystallized glitter for nail technicians. So I find it funny that they did that.
And now, do you create a map for the crystals so that every book is exactly the same? Or is it you look at it and you just know that these are where these are going?
Not necessarily. Have a great evening, guys. Thank you. What'll usually happen is the first 5 books are my trial and error books. So I'll go with what I think is the minimum amount that'll make this book look good. And then I'll do what I think is the most excessive amount that'll look good. And then I find a happy medium. And then once I find that happy medium, I go on. So basically, if you ever have a numbered serial collection, the first 5 books are going to be completely unique because I'm trying to gauge what I'm doing. And then the rest of them are going to be the same.
Yeah. Let's see. I had another question I wanted to ask you. I love the fact that, you know, when I've had you do jeweling for me, you know, I think it was like 75 books or I think something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. And we drove out, I dropped them off with you. And then I said, okay, I'll pick them up tomorrow or I'll pick them up at dinner tonight. You're like, okay, no problem. And you had them all done. They were dried. They were done. They were gorgeous. And I just drove them home. And I like doing that. One, because I don't have to worry about them getting damaged in shipping.
Yes.
Because that is my biggest fear is them getting all damaged.
Oh, that's gut-wrenching.
Yeah. Especially how much work you put into it. I mean.
Yeah. I literally held my breath. Not really, but, you know, mentally, I held my breath for like a week while Tucci's books went from me to New York.
Right.
And I was like, don't mess them up.
Exactly.
The post office is magical. Post office is magical.
Now, Mark says, so how did we get together in the first place? Well, I think we met through Kara.
Yes, we met through Kara. Then
Bill actually knew you before I did.
Yeah, Bill did, because I was working on doing patches with him and stuff for the CB Museum before they closed down.
So actually, Bill was the one who connected me with Shannon. Was like, hey, this is Shannon, the Shannon Princess Jewel, because we were at Fiend Fest.
Yeah,
and I got to meet you, but you were so busy, and it was
like I had to literally tell people I have to pee. Be right back.
But Bill was the one who actually introduced us formally.
Yeah, that's right. It was Bill. Hi, Carrie.
There's Carrie Ann. I was just showing off the pea coat that you guys did with the Julie. And how pretty it is. It's hard because the light is so reflective off the metal.
Well, your metals are also insanely bright.
Yes, and these aren't even the mirrored ones. These were before I did the mirrored ones.
Yeah,
the mirrored ones are even more spectacular.
They are. They truly are.
So we do have coming up in the campaign. I have a couple that I just introduced. I've got the Lorenzo Sperlonga metal edition that just got introduced, and it's going to be gorgeous.
Yes.
And I have some Keith Garvey that is going to be introduced. And we have another one that's coming that I have not announced that's coming up at next week. I will be revealing that one. And that one is super limited. It's Stephen Carrian. And we have not shown it at all. Stephen Carey and I are under a gag order not to speak, not to breathe of it. Shannon has seen it, so she is under the same gag order now.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we're not allowed to talk about it.
You know, that's great. I don't know what you're talking about.
But those are going to be pretty incredible. And now that Shannon knows what's coming, she's already in her mind. I can
already
see
got it plotted.
It's already mapped out. You've already got it. She knows where all the jewels are going. So that's really exciting. And that'll be for another week or so. Mark, thank you so much for coming.
Have a good night,
Thank you for hanging out. Your questions were amazing. Thank you for those. Have a good night. So when you started opening up from Coffin, because you were very, I don't want to say exclusive, but you were really only jeweling for Coffin.
Yeah. Because they were the only ones who showed interest.
Right. I was going to say, because the rest of us, I think us indie people were like, oh no, that's who jewels, And I think I was one of the first ones who said, hey, Shannon.
You were.
Can you?
Yeah, you were. You were the first one.
You jewel for me. And you were like, yes. And I was like, oh. I was so excited. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I'm going to get jewel books. I was so happy. So now that I kind of popped that cherry and popped the cork on that bottle,
you've been working the jeweling cherry. Good job.
You've been working with some other creators as well, too.
Yes, I've done some Dan Mendoza.
Thank you for sharing that.
I've done Kara and Alfred's books. I've done Jim Noble's for Totally Rad Comics. Joe Massimo from Buku has contacted me to do certain jewel editions for him. It's been a little all over the board. Also Zabala, he's contacted me a few times for Patriotica stuff. So yeah, it's been fun.
So Trish demanded your link. So do we have a link, or is it just contacting you through your...
Let me see.
We will get that to you, her contact information too. If you need it, maybe just pop it in the chat.
There we go.
Let's see.
The website's kind of bare because I'm fixing Kara and Alfred's website, and I'm too tired after that to do my own.
Of course. Of course. Yes. And then is there a way to get a book jeweled for Sireness Tour if we already put in an order? You know what? If I hadn't offered that as a tier, but if you message me, Troy, I will totally get whatever you want jeweled.
Absolutely.
I will make that happen for you. That's an easy fix. And I know I've already got an order that's going to be coming to Shannon, and she is going to be doing some other really awesome stuff.
Yes.
I love it. That's so funny.
I love it.
Thank you. Thank you, Trish. Thank you, Mike. Yes, Troy, if there's something you want, just message me and I will get your book jeweled for you. And then I'll let you know what the cost difference will be for it. Because there will be an additional fee for having them done. But
I put my link in the private chat because I don't think I can actually comment on here.
Really?
Yeah, it's not letting me comment.
Okay, I will copy this and I will paste it in the main comments and I will post it so everybody can see. You are welcome. So here.
But basically, I'm HRH Princess Jewel on every platform except Twitter because I hate Twitter.
Do you not use Twitter?
I am not a 13-year-old crack addict. I cannot stand Twitter.
You know what? I try doing it. I just can't. I don't have good success. Yeah. Hello, Joshua. It's good to see you.
Hi, Josh.
And Rob, I know I posted a couple of your things, but I didn't get to say hello. So if there is something that you want, Jewel, reach out to me if you want it from the campaign, and I'll get it done for you when I place my order with Shannon. And if there's something that you want that's not a Naughty Fairy thing, you can contact Shannon directly.
Yeah.
Can you place in the video description? I will try to. Let me see. I don't think it'll let me do that right now, but I should be able to at the end. Yes. I'll go in and I'll add that description in for you so you have it. That's a really good. See, everybody has such great ideas. I'm so glad that we share because otherwise I would be, swimming.
It's a big think tank. You got to be able to do it.
It is, and this is the most amazing community. I love the comic world. I love the comic community. They're fantastic.
I'll show a couple of other covers that I've done. So we've got.
Yes. So those were the Keith Garveys that were for Buku Comics. Those turned out gorgeous.
Right? Now, even though there's not a lot to work with, I find a way to make it work with. And these orange crystals are my favoriteest color on the planet.
They are gorgeous.
They're just such a beautiful, fiery orange.
When I used to do like some beading jewelry type stuff with the crystals, and I did wire wrapping. And I had these ones that I used to work with that were gorgeous. They were orange and red. They would like.
Those are the Czech fire opals.
Yes, they're gorgeous. Look how beautiful that is.
This one got added a couple more crystals to it than what the actual campaign had because it's got a boo-boo. There it is. It's got a boo-boo right there. So I was like, I'll dress it up anyway.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, because that's the one thing. These books cannot be graded by CGC or CBCS. I have gone to toe with them for a few years now, trying to get them to grade them, but they're still fighting me on it. But that third company, PGX,
yes,
they will grade the jeweled editions.
Nice.
So I am going to end up sending a whole bunch of my metal APs to them and being like, grade them, bitches.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you were spending it with your comic family and your real family. Aren't we all part of that family anyways? Right?
Christmas was my second day off for the year, so I was sleeping.
You're entitled to do that.
Yeah.
At least twice a year.
You could not get me out of bed on Christmas. I didn't care if the building was burning down. I did not care. You were not getting me out of bed on Christmas.
Now, what is the most amount of jewels you put on one piece?
It's going to be the Catching Fire piece so far, because I do have, you can't see it because it's hung. I'm not turning my entire monitor around to do this because it's a big monitor. But I have one Lady Death that was done by Cece and Jen Broomhall, and it's got 550 crystals on it. But the Catching Fire print that I showed,
let's show that again because that was gorgeous.
This one's got already 600 crystals on it. There is one more print that I think will beat this print, and that is Jessie Witchman's Candlemas Lady Death one.
Oh, that will be beautiful.
I had to search all over for the perfect aquamarine colored crystals because she's dripping in diamonds. And then there are lit candles all in the background, all above, which is why it's called Candlemas. And I needed yellows, I needed oranges, I needed golds to kind of layer the flames a little bit. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to hit the 1,500 crystal marker on that one.
That will be amazing, because I know at Swornfest you had done a couple pieces that were a few hundred crystals.
Yes, I did have ranging. So I had a couple of different tiers where there was 50 crystals, 100 crystals, 200 crystals. And then I have the Broomhall print with the 550 crystals. Now that most of my crystals have finally come in, I have a stack of Lady Death prints that I want to do for Swornfest specifically.
Yeah.
So
because that's coming up in a month.
Yes, it is. Could use a bit more background. Anytime I get a Witchman print, I know it's going to be phenomenal. Yeah. I think there has only been one Witchman print out of every one that I have ever jeweled that I've had to look at Jessie and go, dude, she's naked. What am I supposed to do with this?
Where do you jewel? Because one of the things I know as a rule is you don't jewel eyes and you don't jewel the nipples, because it takes away from the art.
It takes away from the art. And the whole point of the jewels is to accent the art, not take over the art.
And that's important, because I think people always want to put them on the nipples. We're not making pasties.
No, we're not making pasties. There is one Lady Death print that I got to give Lady Death a nose ring. And I was so excited about that.
I mean, you could technically, if somebody brought you
They did, and I did it at Fiend Fest because he was very adamant about it. It went against every fiber of my being, but I did it.
But you could potentially make your own pasties on them.
Yes, making pasties is one thing, but when they just want you to put 2 jewels on, no.
Yes. And I showed those. I've got some here, Trish. So I don't know if you saw this one. We went with just the circles to cover her because, like I said, we don't want to distract from the art piece.
Correct.
So this was a jeweled metal cover for Naughty Fairies 4. And I have to cover. I didn't cover last time, but I'm covering.
No, you were bad.
No, I was bad. But you can see, even in the water, she was able to do the jeweling, and then she was wearing jewelry. So she put accents in all those pieces, and it just turned out amazing. And then the peacoat, I can show that one because that one's a regular one. So, and they just turned out amazing. And these aren't the mirrored ones. These were before I started using the mirrored metals.
Oh, the mirror metals.
And those are a little blinding when you're jeweling because the reflection.
So I literally have to wear my sunglasses when I'm jeweling the mirrored metal editions because I have blue eyes, and blue eyes are naturally sensitive to light. And I prefer to be a mushroom in the dark, but those metals require light. So I have to wear sunglasses so I don't get a headache.
Yeah, because you're using a light going onto the piece as you're working because you need the light to be able to see where everything goes.
And it is blinding.
And then you've got the reflection, and then you've got it shining back into your eyes. It's like driving at night for hours and the light constantly hitting your eyes.
It's like a high beam hitting you. Is exactly what it is.
So that becomes too much. Thank you, Trish, for saying that. That's so kind.
Thank you.
Now, do you prefer to do a book at a show or have it mailed to you? And for a
Doesn't
basic
matter.
book with no interruption, how long does it generally take you to do a book? This is her magic.
A book generally takes me maybe a minute or 2 minutes. It does not take that long.
Because she knows exactly how to do it, how to place it, and
I'm against the clock for the glue, so you got to be quick.
Exactly. So yeah, I thank you for saying that, Trish. That is awesome.
But no, Troy, I don't mind. You can mail them to me. It is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
If they have a nip piercing, though, I have jeweled the piercings. That's fine because you're not actually just sticking it on the nipples. You're sticking it on the piercings.
Right. And you look for those opportunities. So a lot of times when, like, I've sent you nudes and you're just like, what am I doing? The Jay Fergusons I know were really hard for you the last campaign because she just had her wings.
Right.
And I'm like, in her wings.
I'm like, okay, here's the veins in the wings. Here's the way they're tilted. We'll just make it seem like she has studs in her wings going with the arcs. And
yeah, it was a lot harder. But when we send you stuff that's got like the jewelry or the clothing and things like that, it's a lot easier because you're like, I know exactly where these need to go.
Right.
But when they're naked, where do you put them?
You try to create a background. You try to go with some lines, and that's about it.
Piercing cover, Steph's new sketchbook. It might be. I think if Steph's still in the audience, he might be able to comment on that.
I mean, if they put dermals in and everything, you can easily have jewel dermals. So that's not.
That's easy. And I've seen that where, the Maryland, where,
the Maryland piercing.
Things like that. Yeah, absolutely.
I've given, if I'm trying to find like that one, because the problem is I generally put 25 crystals on a cover. That's usually my goal is between 20 and 25. But sometimes I'm sitting here going, I got one crystal. It's going to bug me if I don't have this crystal. So a character will randomly have a ring for no reason at all because I'm going to put it on a finger.
There. And that works too. It could take the place of Steph using Copics. It could take the place. Now, I know when we've done some of the pieces, you have put them in tattoos. I've seen crystals in tattoos. I've seen crystals on the koi fish. Mm-hmm. You decorated the koi.
Because they're glittery.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing that I think is so awesome is you don't have to just keep it to the character.
No, not at all.
That's there. You're able to explore and move without because it really is to enhance the piece, not distract.
Mm-hmm. And now, since I do have so many colors, I can match the backgrounds. I can match water scenes. I can do this, that, and the other. So that way it makes it look like it's alive.
Exactly. Now, how, like, out of the pieces you've done, because you've done thousands and tens of thousands for Coffin, for sure. And you've done, I mean, I think for me alone, you've done maybe 200-300,
right?
Maybe, and that might be even kind of stretching it. What has been the most challenging piece that you've worked on?
There is a specific Lady Death one where she is completely naked and literally clutching a sheet to her, and the background is solid black.
So where did you end up jeweling on the sheet?
I ended up putting jewels in the creases of the sheet to kind of just make it look like it was flowing with it. She had those big, huge princess curls, so I made it look like she had clips in her hair type deal with it. But that was the most difficult cover I've ever had to do.
I can totally imagine that.
Because there's literally just nothing.
Yeah. Now, Trish asked, where is your shop located, or do you do this from home?
I do have a store. We're currently in it now. This is just the back of it because that's where my computer just so happens to be located. And I am located in Phoenix, Arizona at the Biltmore Fashion Park, which is at 25th Street in Camelback.
And then at home, do you do your jeweling at home or do you?
No, I moved everything down here to the shop. I actually have an apartment now. It is not a warehouse. None of my work, crafts, nothing is at home.
That is fantastic. That's the best feeling because it has a home.
Yes. That means literally when I close up shop for the day, I'm done.
You can't do any more.
Nope.
It can't travel. It's got to stay there.
Got to stay there.
Let's see. I thought you had an awesome workspace at home. She did.
I did.
Until she opened the shop.
I did until I opened up a store, and then that went away.
And that shop is beautiful, Trish. If you get a chance to come out to Arizona and check out the shop, I got to go and get a behind the scenes kind of tour when I went, and it is a beautiful location. The shop is
not just a rock shop. I also have a 6-needle embroidery machine hiding in the back, working on a bunch of embroidery projects. I also do knitting. I've got crochet going. I've got stuff.
We keep her busy with all sorts of interesting things. Yeah. So what do you find as people are like exploring the idea of jeweling in terms of not necessarily doing it, but having something jeweled? Mm-hmm. Do you tell them, like, do you give them any direction? Like, oh, kind of look for pieces that have this, or do you just, whatever they bring you, you work with?
Ultimately, whatever you give me, I'm going to work with, because maybe that book means absolutely something to you. Like, if this is your most special book and you've got to have it jeweled, I will make it work. The only books I have ever turned down are lenticulars, and that's because the shift doesn't make it work for both pictures.
That makes sense.
So lenticulars are off limits, but everything else, I will do anything to make it special for you.
That totally makes sense. Trish would know. I love I'm with you.
We have air conditioning. Thank you very much.
It gets hot there, though.
Yes, it does.
It just seems like I always am out there in the summertime picking up, 25 cases of books.
I never understood why we don't own black cars in Arizona until I owned a black car. And then I was like, that was the dumbest thing I have ever done.
It does get hot. Now for Swornfest, the headquarters, are you going to do shop tours too?
I have no idea if they are, actually. They haven't told me anything yet, but I do believe so, because I think they redid some stuff in there. I haven't been back to HQ in almost a year.
Yeah, I think you went at the beginning of COVID.
Right.
And then
COVID shut us all down.
Yeah.
And then we just couriered everything back and forth.
Yeah.
And then when I opened up the store, that really just kind of took it away from me to where everything has to come to me now.
Yeah. Alaska is my home if I got a choice.
I was in Alaska for 3.5 years. I lived in Fairbanks at Eielson Air Force Base, and I was pissed when my dad retired and chose Arizona to retire at.
Break is over. Got to go back to work.
Bye,
care.
Troy. Lord Troy. Lord.
I'm so glad you're going to have that piece done. I know that Shannon's going to do an amazing job on the jeweling for you. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. So I have to see a picture of it once it gets done.
Absolutely.
That's going to be awesome.
I usually try to do TikTok videos of people's stuff after they themselves have done their official review or reveal. Then I will post a TikTok, because TikTok watermarks your stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
That's why I like it.
I did not know that. That's awesome. Yeah, I have to branch out over into TikTok land.
TikTok is only great for watermarking. That's all I care for.
I haven't done that. I need to at some point. I will eventually, I'm sure, but
you'll get there.
It's another platform to manage, and I got my hands full with Facebook, even though they don't let me share everything.
Well, that's because Bill keeps getting banned. So.
I think it is. I think my connection to Bill is a problem. I don't know. I don't understand all of that. But I don't know if anybody else has any more questions, because I know you've had a long day. You've had to work on this holiday, and I'm sure
I was at Paris this morning.
I know. You are the hardest working girl out there, I'll tell you.
Always got to hustle. Always got to hustle.
Always. So thank you so much for spending some time with us, Shannon, and sharing.
Thank you, guys.
And, if you have a book that you want to get jeweled, please reach out to Shannon. See? this is how it happens. It does. Please reach out to Shannon. Let her know that you want to get something jeweled. She will hook you up, and you will be so happy with your decision. I guarantee it. So I want you guys all to have a great day. Thank you, Shannon, for coming and hanging out.
Thank you, guys. I love you all. Bye.
We'll see you later. Thank you. And so thank you guys for coming and watching. I hope you had a good time. We do have another show coming up. Let me get you the next date. I want to make sure I tell you the right one. We've got on Thursday night, we have Alton Simpson, and he is going to be playing some music for us. So that'll be a lot of fun. So until then, have a great night. Be good human. Love you all. Bye.